What's up, guys? Welcome to A Reseller's Life. My name is Chris. I'm a full-time reseller. In this episode, we're going to go over the fact that every single year during the summer, people complain about slow sales. But we can fix that. We can do these 7 things I'm about to go over right now so that this is a permanent solution to that problem. So before we get into the content, please smash the like button, hit that notification bell. 3 new videos a week. Let's go. Number 1. Seasonal item prep. If you guys have been following my store since November, which a lot of you have been, you can see that probably a third of the store is shorts and sandals. So I'm in the clothing and shoes category. So I don't like having slow summer sales, so I don't. I just prepare myself by having seasonal stuff for that time. I know right now we're about to get into the season where boots, jackets, they're going to be giving those away because they're not going to sell very well in the summer. I'm going to load up right now, get them all listed. They're going to sell Q4, November, December, January. It's going to be cold. It's going to be the time to sell those things. Also, the summer is the time where there's the most donations. There's the most houses being sold. The estate sales and thrift stores are full of good stuff. So it's really important that number 2, you schedule more time to work during the summer. Recognize this. When you are starting your reselling game, you may not understand that if you're planning on summer being slow, plan on winter being busy. So you have to do all you can to schedule more time to get your stuff listed in the summertime so that you can reap the rewards in the wintertime. Meaning right now you're doing more work and making the same amount of money. And in the winter, you're doing the same amount of work, but making more money because there's more traffic. So this is something that you need to write down. So if you need to go grab a pen and a piece of paper and pause the video, you should do that right now. But this is the question you need to ask yourself, which is, what is your weekly production goal? What can you do in a week? What's realistic? Can you do 50 items a week, 100 items a week, 200 items a week? And how much time does that take? So if it takes you, let's say 20 hours to do 50 items a week, as an example, and you know summer is going to be slow and you want to do twice as much, you want to do 100 because you don't want your revenue to go down, then do you have an extra 20 hours to do that? It's really important to understand that you need to schedule more time if you want to do more things. A lot of people think that they can just do more without actually scheduling how you do that. I'm going to use an example from my friend Nick. His goal is to save $100,000 a year and keep his day job and keep his wife and 3 kids happy. So one, I tend to notice that people with a full-time job usually have larger resale companies, even though they work 40 to 50 hours during the week. On top of that, they have a bigger store than people who do this full-time. I think a lot of that is time management, but I'm going to go over what works for Nick, and maybe that'll work for you. But Nick believes that if you have kids, it's hard to run your resale business while they're awake. I don't know if that's true because I don't have kids, but let me know in the comment section below if you agree with this. He's like, I don't understand how people say they take a photograph, make a sandwich for a kid, take one more photograph, change someone's diaper, and then drop them off at daycare, soccer practice, come home, list 1 item. He's like, I don't know how people are actually doing that. So how I do it is I make sure I get my 15 listings done for the day before my kids wake up. I'm not sure how else to do it. He says you could also maybe do it when they go to sleep, but he's like, I'm not sure how you do it when they're awake unless you're just sort of like an absent parent, because maybe if you put them in front of the TV or the iPad, you're kind of doing it at the same time, but you're not really being present with your kids. His goal is 100 listings a week. He does 15 7 days a week before the kids wake up. So I don't know if that would work for you, but for me, it makes sense because he has scheduled that system into his business and he just keeps the same pace all year round. So what happens is he just knows it's going to be a little bit slower during the summer and it's going to be a little bit busier during the winter. He doesn't even worry about summer slowdown. Plus he has a daytime full-time job that pays the regular bills. So number 2 is scheduling that work in. Number 3 is making sure you have enough space. I don't think a lot of resellers understand this because it's not obvious and a lot of reseller channels don't talk about it. You need enough space to properly organize the new stuff that you're putting into your store. When I was looking for commercial space, the advice given to me was, Chris, make sure a third of your space is completely free of anything. That way you have the mental real estate to think about what you want to do next, and you have a proper area to test, prep, repair, clean, organize. Too often, resellers will fill their space completely full of stuff, and they don't have any room to work. And the room that they do have to work is actually pretty cluttered. So it's difficult to work in that environment. So just make sure that you have enough space. That's really important. So number 3, something that people don't talk about, is make sure you have enough space. Number 1, make sure you have seasonal items. Number 2, schedule your workout and figure out how long it's going to take to do more. Number 3, make sure you have enough space. Number 4, this one's going to be a little bit on the edge, but I'm going to go for it anyway, which is stop thinking that doing this by yourself is the only way to do it, and it's more respectable than people who do it with a team. I'm not really sure where this comes from. Why is it better to do it by yourself than with a team? I'm going to use the example of The Rock. The Rock is this giant human being that, makes millions of dollars a year and does all these crazy things. This gentleman is very open about anxiety, depression, maybe a little bit of mental illness, not being able to handle it all. He has a lot of crippling anxiety. This is The Rock, guys. The Rock is not really The Rock. He says, I'm not The Rock. I'm a 200-person team. There's people doing my diet, nutrition. His gym is literally flown to wherever he goes. It's a giant team. It's 200 people. The Rock is 200 people. And this person is talking about anxiety and depression and insecurities. He is admitting that he can't do it by himself. Why can you do it yourself? I don't understand the reasoning behind this, especially when you know that 9 out of 10 small businesses fail. So for me, I'm totally okay saying I can't do this by myself. I want all the help I can get. I don't want to be one of those 9 out of 10 businesses that fail. I want to make it. So I'm okay with my friends and family making fun of me because it's not as successful as I think it's going to be, because it's part of what I signed up for. I signed up to be an entrepreneur knowing it's going to be very difficult. If I wanted something easy, I would just get a job. That's easier. You go to work and they tell you what to do and then you go home. Usually people who have a job take more vacation, have more savings, have more hobbies. When you become an entrepreneur, I signed up for this. You're going to have less hobbies. You're going to have less free time. You're kind of thinking about your business 24/7. So I'll take all the help I can get. And I think you should do the same thing. I think you should not shut yourself off and say like, well, I'm a one-man show. I'm a one-woman show. I don't think that's something to brag about. I think that's self-torture. There's got to be something in your business that you don't like that someone else can help you with. For me personally, I don't think that doing it by yourself gets you a gold star that makes you better than everybody else. I don't know where that comes from. Number 5, strengthen your standards and processes. As you grow, if you make mistakes, they start to compound. This is really important to recognize. When you are growing your store, if you make a mistake 10 times in a row, and then you teach that to somebody else and they do it 10 times, now you have this gigantic problem. So you need to make sure as you grow, you actually tighten up on everything. You need to run a tighter ship as you grow, because it just starts to get really crazy once you start multiplying effects. So make sure that you understand that. As you grow, you need tighter processes. Next is focus on replenishables. This is a tough one and maybe the most popular question that I get, which is, how do I sell replenishables? I want the 10 by 10 by 10 model you speak of, which is 10 items that sell 10 times a day for $10 profit. How do I get started? Let's get into it. I have 2 friends who have pulled this off. 2 friends that make $1,000 a day net with 10 products. Both of them have more than 100 replenishables. So it's not like you just get one and you're set. They're constantly falling off and on. It's not that easy to get one. And the ones that you have, other people are trying to steal that business from you. I have replenishables that sold last year every single day, and this year don't sell at all. So it takes a while. It's sort of the long game. And the way to do it is you have to focus on one specific category, one specific niche. Once you get into that niche, you start to learn and notice things about it. I'll give you the example of this mug. If you want to sell mugs is a hot category. Millions of these things sell every single year. You start to understand that it's a bit of a challenging category because oftentimes high quality mugs are over 1 pound. So they can't be shipped first class mail, which presents a unique set of challenges. Another set of challenges is that they're fragile, right? So because they're fragile, less people sell in this category, which is a good thing, but it's a bad thing in a sense that if you do sell in the category, they might break. So you need to come up with new ways of shipping the items, new ways of packaging multiple items together to save on shipping. That all happens when you focus on one category. If you were to sell cups and cell phones and laptops and skis and hockey sticks, you're never going to get good at any of those things because you're not going to learn these little nuances required to get really good at one category. So you want to pick one thing, really, really narrow your focus and be in it for the long run. And it's also not that straightforward. Most replenishables do not net $10. It's usually much less. And sometimes they sell more often than 10 times a day. It depends on what it is. So again, you're going to want to always be on the lookout for building this, and it takes a while. 10 by 10 by 10 is a lifetime goal. It is not a over the summer goal. It takes a long time to get really good at specific things. And also, both of my friends, the 10 replenishables they have are all in the same category. They're not different things. They're just sort of slight variances of the same thing. So they're in markets that are really strong. It would be difficult to get a 10 by 10 by 10 in a slow selling category. So again, pick a good category, get really good at it, narrow your focus. The next one is focusing on what works. So I'm telling you guys what works right now, which is just listing profitable items, building relationships with suppliers, and the fundamentals of your standard operating procedures. That's what's important. What's not important is marketing. So I'm going to go over it right now because this is the most common question that I get. And people who ask me this question, I know they're looking for get rich quick. And this is the question they ask. Chris, what do you think of this person's new course? They have a really nice car. That's a really weird way to present it because their car has nothing to do with their business. Also, this is my opinion. Most information is worth between $0 and $30. And the reason why I say $30 is because that's what the cost is of a good used textbook, unlike physics. Physics is certainly more difficult than reselling, and you can get a really good textbook to teach you the fundamentals for $30, right? If you get the newest version, it's probably gonna be $300, but you don't need the newest version because physics hasn't changed. It's the same thing. You can get a 1990 version of the textbook and still learn the basics. Reselling hasn't changed. It's the same. That's why my course is $30 because it just goes over how I do it, right? So my business is now public. The new store is Daily Refinement on eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. This store does $20,000 a month and comfortably does more than $5,000 a month net. That's the thing that people are looking for, over $1,000 a week profit. So if you're trying to make six figures, you can just look at what I do and do that twice. I know that my store takes roughly 18 hours a week to do it. I go over that process. It's updated every single Friday. This Friday is going to be a really big update. So the people who have already bought it, you get all the updates in the future for free. The main difference between the update and the previous version is just the exact timing. For me, start to finish a listing takes about 8 minutes. This is including prepping, doing accounting, shipping, everything combined is about 8 minutes. I know I did a video that's 10 minutes, but for me, it only takes 8. So I think information is worth $30. I think it's always worth it to buy a business book that's between $10 and $30 because you're going to learn one thing in that book that's going to make it worth your time. And you can buy, Sam Walton, Made in America, which is in my reading list below. That guy was worth $100 billion when he died. Do you think it's worth it to spend $10 to $30 to listen to what he has to say? I think so. I don't think it's necessary to try to get that for free. Why would you get the information from his life for free when it's already in a book? So it's worth it to me, $10 to $30. That's what I think most courses are worth. Now, there is a caveat, which is I think it's worth a lot more to actually see how somebody does it. If you were doing an internship and wanted to pay $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, that makes sense to me because you can actually look at their day. What does their schedule look like? How do they dress? What do they eat? What does their day look like? How do they hang out with their family? That's all important to me because if you just make your day like their day, then you probably will do it. If you're curious how PharmaPacks does $1 million a day in sales, do you think the person who runs PharmaPacks lists at all? No, they don't. I can tell you right now, they do not list. They have some other kind of process set up because selling 100,000 items a day requires a factory full of people who know what they're doing, right? And so for me, I'm just going to touch on step number 4 one more time before I close this video, which is the people who think that the respectable way is to do it yourself. I would argue the respectable way to do it is to build a business that's so abundant that it helps other people. Okay? I think that's incredible. Imagine building a business where someone working for you can raise their family, send their kids to college, buy a house. That's pretty amazing to have a business that makes enough money that you can provide that to somebody else. That's incredible. You struggling by yourself at home, I don't know if I put that above somebody who starts a business with employees. That's just my own personal opinion. I appreciate you guys listening to my show. I appreciate your time. Definitely, if you're listening to this on iTunes, please leave me a review on iTunes and let me know if you like the podcast or not. And I appreciate everyone's time. Until next time, make progress daily.